Ever think what it's like? 32 years on this earth, and never once laid hands on a woman? Not proper, anyhow. Feels like you've been chewing dust your whole life, while everybody else is drinking from the damn river. That winter of '86, I was that thirsty man, and Clara Morgan was the water that was going to drown me or save me. I still ain't figured out which. She showed up at my door in a blizzard, half frozen, dress soaked through so I could see every curve God gave her. And I knew, standing there with that lantern shaking in my hand, that the promise I'd made to my dead mother was about to get tested in ways I wasn't ready for. People called me the Virgin Rancher. Said it like it was something funny. It wasn't. It was a chain I'd been dragging since I was 17. Getting heavier every year. That night, looking at Clara shivering on my porch, those brown eyes pleading with me, that chain started to break. And when a thing like that finally snaps, hell, it ain't quiet. Rings in your ears worse than a 44. I reckon that's enough jawing for one night. Pour yourself another and sit a spell if you're still listening. My mother died when I was 17. Took a fever that wouldn't break. And by the time D.O.C. Harrison got to our place, wasn't nothing left to do but hold her hand and listen. "Don't be like your father," she whispered, her fingers cold as creek stones. "Don't waste yourself on women who don't matter. Wait for one who makes you want to be better." I promised. What the hell else was I gonna do? Tell a dying woman? No. 15 years I kept that promise. 15 years of watching other men stumble out of saloons with painted ladies on their arms. 15 years of lying awake in that cabin, listening to nothing but wind and my own heartbeat, wondering if I was noble or just scared. By 32, I had 320 acres of Wyoming dirt, 80 head of cattle that weren't dead yet, and a reputation that followed me like a stray dog. The Virgin Rancher. They thought it was funny. I thought it was suffocating. Then came that December, coldest winter anyone could remember. They called it the Great Die-Up later, when half the cattle in Wyoming froze where they stood. But on December 23rd, 1886, all I knew was the wind was howling like a dying animal, and someone was pounding on my door. I cracked the door, figuring some drunk needed shelter or a bullet. Wasn't either. It was Clara Morgan, half dead on my porch. She collapsed into my arms before I could say a word, soaked to the bone, lips blue, shaking so hard I thought she'd shake herself apart. I knew her. Everybody in Laramie knew Clara. She ran the boarding house on 3rd Street, widow, 4 years now, 40 years old and still beautiful in that way that made men stupid. "Please," she managed through chattering teeth. I carried her inside, didn't think, didn't hesitate, just carried her to the fire and started peeling off that wet coat, those frozen gloves. Her dress was plastered to her body, showing everything the good Lord gave her. And a few things that made my hands shake. "Turn around," she said, when she could talk again. I did. Stood there facing my rough cabin wall, while she changed into my spare shirt and wool socks. My imagination, quiet for so damn long, suddenly started screaming. I could hear every rustle of fabric, could picture every inch of skin I wasn't supposed to see. "You can look now." I turned back and damn near forgot how lungs worked. She stood by the fire wearing my clothes, her dark hair loose around her shoulders, and her eyes had a look I ain't never seen pointed my way. Not soft, not thankful, hungry. The same hunger that had been gnawing my ribs for years. "Thank you," she said. I nodded, couldn't trust my voice. We ate in silence. Beans and bacon, coffee so strong it could wake the dead. The storm kept howling outside, shaking the cabin walls. And I kept thinking about what the town would say if they knew Clara Morgan was here with me, alone. "I know what they call you," she said, finally setting down her cup. My face went hot. "That's so the Virgin Rancher." She wasn't smiling. "Is it true?" I could have lied, should have lied. But something about the way she looked at me, no judgment, no mockery, made me honest. "Made a promise to my mother," I said. "Told her I'd wait for the right woman." Clara was quiet for a long moment. 32 years old, and you kept that promise? Every damn day. She reached across the table and put her hand on mine. Her hand on mine felt like I'd grabbed a branding iron, shot clear through my arm, and settled heavy somewhere it had no business settling. "That makes you either the most honorable man in Wyoming," she said softly, "or the most foolish." I looked up at her. Maybe both. Maybe she agreed. Then I'm in trouble. That's when she told me about Ned Carver, about the debt her dead husband left her, about how Ned owned the Lucky Dollar Saloon and wanted to own her too. Wanted her working there as a hostess, which was a nice word for what it really meant. "He gave me until Christmas to decide," she said. "Either work for him or he takes the boarding house. It's all I got." "That's why you were out in the storm." I was running. Stupid, I know, but I thought she looked away. I thought maybe if I got far enough, he'd forget about me. Men like Ned don't forget. I know her voice was barely a whisper. I just wanted one night where I wasn't scared, where I could pretend I had a choice. I should have said something noble, something about how we'd figure it out. Instead, I said, "You're safe here." Her eyes met mine. Am I? The question hung between us like smoke, because we both knew she wasn't safe, not from Ned, and maybe not from me either. Second day of the storm. Snow still falling like God forgot how to stop. 2 days we danced, around that little room like a pair of strange dogs, sidestepping, eyes flicking, pretending we didn't notice the other breathing. Trouble was, the room wouldn't get no bigger. But close is all there was. She caught me looking at her. I caught her looking at me. Every time our eyes met, something tightened in my chest, pulled at my belly, made me want things I'd been denying for 15 years. "Tell me about her," Clara said that afternoon, sitting by the fire. "Your mother." So I did. Told her about Ma raising me alone after PA died. About her working her fingers raw as a seamstress, never complaining, never asking for help. About how she wanted better for me than PA had. PA, who died of infection from a cut he got in a bar fight over some woman whose name he probably didn't remember. "She wanted you to be different," Clara said. "She wanted me to be alone, turns out." "No," Clara shook her head. "She wanted you to wait for someone worth waiting for." "And how am I supposed to know who that is?" She gave me a tired little smile. "You'll know the right woman when breaking that promise starts feeling less like sin and more like breathing." That evening, we sat close by the fire, shoulders touching. Neither of us moved away. I could smell her close, like soap, wood smoke, and woman. Smell went straight to my head like raw whiskey. "I haven't felt wanted in 4 years," she said quietly. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm even still a woman, just a
Yes, but
widow,
we'll manage. We always do.
just someone
True enough.
managing a
Let's keep the
boarding
fire
house
going.
and trying not to disappear." I turned to her. "Clara, you're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." She laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "You haven't seen much." "I've seen enough, and I'm telling you." I reached up, touched her cheek with my calloused hand. She leaned into it, eyes closing. You make me forget every promise I ever made. Her eyes opened. That's dangerous. I know. We were so close. Now I could count her eyelashes. Could see the pulse beating in her throat. Her breath came faster. Mine did too. Tell me to stop, I whispered. I don't want to. Kissed her slow, clumsy, like two people who'd near forgot the trick of it. Then not slow no more. Then damn near eating each other alive. Her hands in my hair, my arms around her waist, pulling her close, until there wasn't any space between us. She made this little noise, half surprise, half something else. And whatever knot I'd tied in myself 15 years back come loose all at once. I pulled back, breathing hard. Clara, don't, she said. Don't think, don't talk, just... The door slammed open, snow blasted in, and Ned Carver stood there with a gun in his hand and murder in his eyes. Well, well, Ned said, brushing snow off his coat. Two more men crowded in behind him, Jake Morrison and Pete Hendricks, local toughs who did Ned's thinking for him. The Virgin Rancher's got himself a woman. And here I thought you were saving yourself for something pure. I stood up slow, putting myself between Ned and Clara. My Winchester was on the other side of the room. Might as well have been in California. Storm's still going, Ned. You should head back. He laughed, ugly as sin. Not without what's mine. I'm not yours. Clara said behind me, voice shaking but firm. You got a debt says otherwise, sweetheart. Ned's eyes traveled over her, lingering places that made me want to break his face. But I'm a reasonable man, work for me, debt's clear. Or let this virgin have his fun with you. Then work for me anyway, once he's done. Your choice. Something in me went real still, not hot, like mad cold, sharp.
Normal? After
She's
everything?
staying here,
Yes,
I said.
for us to move forward.
Ned's smile faded. That's so. You prepared to die for her? 'Cause that's what happens next if you don't move aside. I looked at Clara, at those brown eyes that had shown me what living could feel like. I looked at her and finally understood Ma hadn't wanted me pure. She'd wanted me waiting for the one who made sin feel like coming home. Yeah, I said to Ned, I am. Pete went for his gun first. Stupid move. I grabbed the whiskey bottle off the table and threw it in one motion, caught him square in the face. He went down hard. Jake started to draw, but I was already moving. Diving for my Winchester, rolling. Coming up with the barrel pointed at Ned's chest. Out, I said. Ned didn't move. This ain't over. Yeah, it is. You come back, I'll kill you. Tell the sheriff whatever you want. You came to my home, pulled iron on me, law's on my side. The law don't matter in a blizzard, boy. I cocked the rifle. The sound was loud as thunder. Maybe not, but this does. They left, dragged Pete out bleeding and cursing. Ned stopped at the door, looked back at Clara. You made your choice, darling. Hope it keeps you warm when he realizes you ain't worth dying for. The door slammed. Silence filled the cabin like water filling a grave. Clara was shaking. He'll come back, probably. He'll kill you. Me, maybe. I set the rifle down, but some things are worth dying for. She looked at me, tears running down her face. Why, you don't even know me. I know enough. I know you're brave. I know you're scared, but you're still standing. I know when I look at you, I don't feel like I'm waiting anymore. I feel like I'm living." She crossed the room in 3 steps and kissed me. Different from before, not hungry, but desperate. Like I was air and she'd been drowning. What happened next? Well, that ain't for telling. Some things should stay between 2 people, but I'll say this. Breaking that promise to my mother felt like the first honest thing I'd done in 15 years. And Clara showing me what it meant to be with a woman. She wasn't just teaching me, she was saving me. We fell asleep, tangled together in the fire, burning low. And for the first time since I was 17, I didn't dream about being alone. 3rd morning, the storm finally quit. Sun came up, cold and bright, turning the world into white diamonds. Clara woke in my arms. For a second, she looked at me like she wasn't sure where she was. Then she remembered. I saw it in her eyes, the memory flooding back. What we'd done, what it meant. "You sorry yet?" I asked, voice scratching like sandpaper. She was quiet so long I thought I'd lost her then. Only that. "I have to go back." "You don't." "I do. Ned'll spread word if I don't. Whole town'll know I spent 3 days here with you. I'll be ruined." "Then marry me." It busted out of me before my brain caught up. But soon as it was said, I knew it was true. Bone true. Clara sat up, pulling the blanket around her. "You don't mean that." "Hell, I don't. You're just... It's because I want you," I said, not just for last night, for every night. For when the cattle freeze, and the money runs out, and the whole damn world goes cold. I want you there. She was crying. "Now they'll say you had to marry me. That you ruined me and did the decent thing. They'll never let us forget. I don't give a damn what they say. You will. You'll wake up one morning and realize you gave up everything for a woman with more debts than sense, and you'll hate me." I grabbed her hand. "Listen to me. I've spent 15 years being afraid. Afraid of breaking my promise. Afraid of being like my father. Afraid of wanting something so bad it might destroy me. And you know what? I'm done being afraid. It's not that simple. It is that simple. Marry me. We'll figure out the rest." She looked at me for a long time. Then, so quiet, I almost didn't hear it. "Yes." We went into town 3 days later. Word had already spread. Storms that big, people notice who's missing. Ned had made sure everyone knew Clara had spent those days at my place. Folks stared like we was walking carrying. Women pulled their children away like Clara was diseased. Men smirked and nudged each other. I heard the whispers. Whore. Harlot. Took the virgin for a ride. Clara held my arm tight enough to hurt. Maybe this was a mistake. "No," I said. "This is the first thing I've done right in years." We went straight to the saloon. The Lucky Dollar. Ned's place. Every head turned when we walked in. The piano player stopped mid-song. Ned stood behind the bar polishing a glass. "Well, look who crawled back. Come to settle up." "Come to make things clear," I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Clara's debt. How much?" $300. Someone whistled. "That was 6 months' work for most men, a year for some. I'll pay it." The room went dead silent. "That's so." Ned smiled. "You got $300. I got 40 acres on the North Ridge. Creek runs through it year-round, worth more than 300. "I don't want land." "Then take cash." I pulled out the leather pouch I kept hidden in my cabin, dumped it on the bar. Gold coins spilled across the wood. $140. It's everything I got." Ned's eyes narrowed. That's less than half. I know. I'll work off the rest. You need help here. I'll do it. Take me a year, but I'll pay it. Why? Ned picked up a coin, tested it with his teeth. Why are you doing this for some used-up widow? Before I could answer, Clara stepped up beside me, chin high. I'm the one who asked him if anybody's keeping score. 3 days shut in with the man, and I found out he's worth more than the whole damn lot of you put together, starting with you, Ned Carver. She looked around at all those staring faces. You want to call me names? Go ahead. Won't change that I'm marrying the best man I ever met. And if that ruins my reputation, well, maybe my reputation needed ruining. I stared at her. This woman who had been so scared 3 days ago was standing in a saloon full of hostile men defending me, defending us. I turned to Ned. The debt, yes or no? He looked at the money, at Clara, at me. Something ugly moved behind his eyes. Keep your money, virgin. Consider it a wedding present. I don't want. I said keep it. He leaned close. You think you won something here. You didn't. You bought yourself a used woman and a lifetime of being the fool who married her. Enjoy it. We left, walked out into the cold afternoon sun, with every eye in town on our backs. Clara was shaking again, but different this time. I don't know if that was brave or stupid. Both, I said. Always both. We got married 2 days later. Justice of the peace. No ceremony, no guests. Just us and a piece of paper that said we belong to each other. Then we went back to my cabin and started trying to figure out how to survive a winter that was already killing cattle by the hundreds. January 1887 was colder than hell's forgotten corner. I lost half my cattle. The ones that survived were too weak to sell. We ate thin that winter, beans and whatever game I could shoot, which wasn't much with the deer frozen in their tracks. Clara kept the cabin warm, kept us fed on next to nothing, kept me from losing my mind when I'd ride out and find another cow dead in the snow. But the cold wasn't the hardest part, it was the silence. Townfolk stopped talking to us, stopped trading with us. When we'd ride in for supplies, people would turn away. Women wouldn't look at Clara. Men would snicker and whisper behind their hands. One night, Clara sat at the table, staring at nothing. You regret it yet? She asked. I looked up from the harness I was mending. What? This me losing half your herd, your reputation, everything. I set down the leather, went to her, knelt down so we were eye to eye. Every damn day, I said. She flinched like I'd hit her. Regret it every damn morning when I wake up warm beside you. Regret I didn't throw that fool promise in the fire years ago and start living. Tears ran down her face. You lost everything for me. No, I lost cattle. I lost what people think of me. That ain't everything. I took her hands. You're everything. And I'd do it again tomorrow, every day for the rest of my life. She kissed me then, soft and desperate and grateful. That spring when the snow finally melted, and I could count how many cattle I had left. Clara told me she was pregnant. I stood there in the mud and the melting snow, looking at this woman who'd turned my whole life upside down. And I started laughing. What's funny? She asked, scared. Nothing. Everything. I pulled her close. I don't know how to be a father. You didn't know how to be a husband either. You figured it out. We had a daughter that November, named her Sarah after my mother. And standing there holding that tiny life in my arms, I finally understood what Ma had meant. She didn't want me to stay pure. She wanted me to wait for someone who'd make me want to be better, to be braver, to be the kind of man who'd choose love over safety every single time. Clara did that. She made me that man. That was 31 years back. Clara's gone now. Lungs filled up, same as Ma's. We had 28 good years, 3 young'uns, and a ranch that never made us rich, but kept the wolves off the door.
Folks quit their whispering after a while. Or maybe we quit hearing it.
Some still ask if I'm sorry I broke Ma's dying wish for a 3-night blizzard. And a woman the town called soiled. I tell 'em, yeah, sorry I waited so damn long. Rest of it, never once. So here's the only wisdom this old fool's got. When the thing you want most scares you worst, that's the direction to ride. Rest is just dying slow. Now, if this story meant something to you, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe if you want more tales from an old fool who learned everything the hard way. And drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Always curious to know who's listening to an old cowboy ramble about his regrets. Take care out there, and remember, being the virgin rancher
Wasn't what defined me. Breaking that promise was.